Hello there and welcome back to another review. So today we're going to be looking at Benny Chan's A Moment of Romance, made back in 1990. Benny Chan unfortunately passed away in 2020 but left a great legacy of films behind him like New Police Story, Who Am I, Gen X Cops, but it's A Moment of Romance here that was his first true classic film, and I think it was only around his second film as a director. This was also produced by Johnny To, who I think is well known I think he sort of directed some of the movie or parts of the movie, or he was pretty much hands-on with the movie. I'm not quite sure, but as I say, it's very much Benny Chan's film, but I think Johnny To was quite heavily involved. So, as you probably know, the film stars Andy Lau. We have Man-tat here and Jackie Chien-lien. Man-tat won Best Supporting Actor at the 10th Hong Kong Film Awards, and this movie was you cannot comprehend how much of a huge big deal for Andy Lau and this was, and it's regarded to as one of his most signature famous works, and rightly so, because Moment of Romance is an amazing film. It really is, and it's an amazing movie. There was also A Moment of Romance 2 with Aaron Kwok and A Moment of Romance 3 with Andy Lau returning, but directed by Johnny To, which of course I will get around to reviewing, of course I will, but today we're going to be looking at the awesome original, which in many ways is a classic in the world of Hong Kong cinema. And you know, when outside of kung fu movies, outside of all the classic like kung fu movies or the bloodshed movies, whatever, when people talk about classic Hong Kong movies, outside of something like from Wong Kar-wai or things like that, I think Moment of Romance should be, if you are new to the world of Hong Kong movies, regardless of what I say about the movie in this review, go and check it out and make up your own mind on it. But it is one of them movies, if you are new to the world of Hong Kong cinema, I think you really should see. I think it's sort of a rite of passage. I think everybody should check out A Moment of Romance. Now, Andy Lau was like the biggest name going at the time, and he was a well-liked actor, but it was this film here that really catapulted him into superstardom. I think between sort of like Wong Kar-wai's Tears Go By in 1988 and the film here, Andy Lau, I think he's appeared in like, I think I read somewhere, I heard he appeared in like 24 films in the space of like 2 years, which is no small feat. And I think even now, Andy Lau has like 170 odd movie credits, not to mention recording pop albums as well as like in between movies. And make no mistake, Andy Lau is a man that likes to keep busy. I think that's why people and directors like working with Andy Lau. He just works, he does the job, he's committed, he keeps getting on. He just carries on working, and and he's able to take on action roles, serious roles, comedic roles, and everything in between. And I think over the years, I think you can see why people do, like, especially like probably mid to late 80s through most of the 90s. Andy Lau just kept working. It seems he had a film out all the time. And I think I always got the impression with Andy Lau, he was one of these people that people just love to work with. Like I say, he just come up, he was coming to set, he was nice, he done his bit, and then he went home. And he's a great work ethic is always the impression I got from Andy Lau. But I mean, he can do anything. I mean, like I say, he does action, serious, comedic, everything in between. And Andy being one of the four heavenly kings of Cantopop, along with Jackie Chung, Aaron Kwok, and Leon Lai. But as I say, Romance is a beautifully shot Hong Kong sort of neo-noir with fantastic performances and a bittersweet climax. As mentioned with all my reviews, I do crash through the plot, so if I do trip over myself, there will be a few, like I say, spoilers, because I will be going through the film. But as I say, if you haven't seen it, probably stop watching this review and go and check it out. But I'll be going through the review today and just my thoughts on the movie. And the film has some fantastic cinematography thanks to Horace Wong and Joe Chan. In many ways you could argue the film is sort of a collaborative production involving many talents, and it's thanks to all the efforts of those involved that I think makes Romance the classic film that it is. And it really put Benny Chan on the map. Even have Ringo Lam and Wong Jing involved with this one too. So Andy plays Wadi, he's like a small-time hustler, gangster, driver of sorts. He is the driver for this hit on a jewellery store where they just go in shooting the place up. He spots the cops and rams their car, and so begins a chase. I mean, this is like straight at the beginning of the movie. Now, despite how generic you might say the film seems, and the plot is somewhat by the numbers, it's amazing sometimes how much it does draw you in. Watching it again recently, and I've always maintained you can have the most simplest plot in the world. You can have a really generic by the numbers story, but with the right people involved, the right director and the right performances, it can seem fresh, it can feel different. And Moment of Romance is one of them movies. Like, how generic on paper with what happens, it is somewhat leaning towards a bit cliche, a bit generic, but it's amazing how much it does draw you in. So he drops his crew off and they agree to meet at their rendezvous spot, and he takes the girl like Jojo hostage. They try to fleece him on the cash and go to kill the girl, and Andy says it's on me. And it's a wonderful piece of cinema here where he tries to sort of calm her down with no dialogue. If you do watch this scene, it's really well shot. There's no conversation, but he sort of tries to calm her down. But if you watch that bit of the movie, you'll know what I mean. So he sort of torches the car, and the two set off on a motorbike. This is all done extremely cinematically, by the way, with the music playing, the slow motion, the explosion. It's all done in that grand sort of cinematic style. He drops her home and returns home, and there are so many little moments in the film where you realise you are watching a special movie, right? This is one of them movies you are watching something special. We meet Man-tat as Rambo, or Bo, whatever you want to call him. Some thugs come after Wadi, accuse him of being a snitch, then the police collar him in the blink of an eye. And I have to love how Jojo has to identify the guy in a lineup, no protective glass or anything like that going on. She's just literally right in front of them. No thanks. If I'd witnessed anything, and there was some bad dudes and they just dragged me, regardless of the police being there and everything, I do not want them right in front of me. She doesn't identify them and leaves the station on her own at night, and some thugs come to get her, but Andy goes all sort of road rash on his bike. Does anybody remember Road Rash on the Mega Drive or on the Genesis? He stabs one and she and Andy sort of take off. An absolutely incredible performance from our two leads here, and he lets her phone her home as he is trying to protect her, you see, and sort of really is his fault that she's in this mess anyway. And what is awesome is there are so many parts of the movie where actors are just allowed to act. Like I said, mentioned that thing of no dialogue. They're just mannerisms and reactions, and when when alone in the room together. And our two leads here really do that so well. So the guys find them, and Andy puts some beers in a pillowcase and starts whacking the crap out of them. And listen to the music here too, the music here as well. What should be something intense is actually something quite tranquil, and it's almost leaning towards a beautiful piece of music. And this is where Jojo really starts to care for Wadi. She sews up his jacket, she follows him, she brings him soup. She's totally smitten at this point, right? So after being made to hang on to this truck at this underground sort of motoring event, which almost traumatises her, she tells Andy it's her birthday. And you look how content she is, and all she wants is him, right? That's all she wants, because it's a love story, right? If you haven't guessed, the film is a love story. And it's one of them films that plays into the idea of sort of fate, circumstances. It's just a chance, by luck situation. And it's one of them films that does sort of play on that idea of fate and, was it meant to be? So it's a Hong Kong movie that feels so different above all else. The film, it's one of the movies when you watch it, it feels special. It feels like a special movie, even watching it again now. So Jojo starts to bond with Wadi and Bo. The cops warns her over that she is being played. So Wadi's tried Godfather Dies, and really pay attention to the music in this movie. I know I've just mentioned that, but as I say, regardless of the film itself, it has a great score. It has a really fantastic score. So after she tracks him down at his grandfather's, of course, this movie has to have gotta have the cheesy montage, right? You have to have the cheesy montage in the movie. I mean, come on, the film wouldn't be complete without one. He tells her that he can't promise her anything, and she is fine with this. They get back after their jaunt, and her mum is sort of waiting. The CID collar Andy, and lo and behold, the commissioner is one of Jojo's old schoolmates and says she is going to Canada. This guy Trumpet wants to be head of the table, and basically this bad dude, he wants to be head of the table and and he wants to dominate after sort of the death of their boss. So Jojo is, look, I'll go to Canada, but tonight I have to see Wadi, who is busy roughing up some punks who messed up Bo. He finds Jojo waiting at like who has like cleaned everything up, sorted his clothes, though he is drunk, and starts like trashing the joint, proclaiming that he hates it clean. And it's so sweet that she actually cleans it again. It's a wonderful, beautiful moment that she's done all this for Andy's character. He comes in and trashes it, right, and then she sort of just starts cleaning it again. She leaves him a note saying that she is leaving. Trumpet and is going to start knifing everyone at this meeting. Suddenly we see our lovers on the bike, complete with wedding dress and a suit, and he puts a ring on her finger, but he abandons her as she prays for what the future might hold. Wadi has a constant nosebleed at this point after being hit by Trumpet with a gas tank, to which he repays him by stabbing him in the face as he falls on the concrete. And you just knew it was going to be one of them films. There was like I mentioned, I have crashed through the moment of romance here, but it was going to be one of them films that was never going to end well for those involved. Bo and Trumpet sort of stab the crap out of each other too. All this is happening as Jojo sort of runs along in her wedding dress looking for her man, and as I say, it doesn't. It's like I say, it's a bittersweet film. It might even bring a tear to your eye. It might, like I say, there is an emotional weight at the end of this movie. But as I say, fantastically directed, fantastic actors in the movie, really great performances. But make no mistake, this is a powerful movie, and it really has stood the test of time, and still is now. Like I say, for a Hong Kong movie of this era, it really is extremely well done. And like I mentioned, if you are new to Hong Kong cinema, A Moment of Romance should be extremely high on your list. If you've got tired of, say, your Jackie Chans and your Sammo Hungs, and you've grown out sort of the kung fu thing from Hong Kong, and you want to get into more and see what else Hong Kong cinema has to offer, make sure to go and check out Moment of Romance, because as I say, it's a really powerful film, bit cheesy in places, but it's one of them movies I think you have to just appreciate it for what it is, and it is honestly a fantastic movie. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the review, and I'll see you again soon.
Don't concentrate on the finger, or you will miss all that heavenly glory.